This summer, many Coloradans will be heading up to the high country for beautiful hikes, but some of the most popular trails are cluttered with fallen trees. CBS 4's Spencer Wilson caught up with the Forest Service crews who are using cleanup duty as a training exercise.
This year has been brutal, with wild winds knocking trees across trails all over the high country. The Forest Service, in charge of maintaining those trails, has certainly noticed.
I know on one trail they went on, they cut out 107 trees off of like 2 miles of trail. That's a lot of trees, yeah.
And they're clearing these trees with crosscut saws.
I mean, they're about 6 feet long, they're made out of steel, they have sharp teeth all along the edge.
Some of these saws are 80 to 100 years old, and still it is the only tool they're using to make sure they get these trails clear.
So let's cut right to it. Why aren't they using chainsaws? Partly because in 1964, the Wilderness Act was passed, which included language to keep the wilderness wild.
So we always like to think about that one person that maybe has one day off every year and they just want to go somewhere quiet. And if we use a chainsaw versus a crosscut saw, we could really affect that user's experience.
So keeping in step with our wilderness culture, and not to mention tradition, but also sometimes it's just easier to use a 2-person human-powered saw.
They don't weigh that much, so in a way they are pretty advantageous over a chainsaw, because if you're hiking 12 miles into the backcountry, it's a lot lighter than, say, a chainsaw with fuel that might break, and then you have to hike out because you can't cut the tree.
These Forest Service crews are training the next batch of rangers who will go out across the state, all 200,000 acres of wilderness, and clear those downed trees, even if it takes hours in some cases.
It does become a pain in the butt.
In Basalt, Spencer Wilson, covering Colorado First.